All right. Section 5.3 is called fractions and percents. And it says, how do we write a percent as a fraction? We're going to replace the percent symbol with a fractional equivalent, 1 over 100. Then we're going to multiply, and then we're going to simplify our fraction if we can. So let me get my pen here. All right, 40%. If you remember this just means 40 over 100. All I'm going to do now is just reduce. I can divide them, say, both by 10. That's going to give me 4 over 10. I can divide them again both by 2. That's going to leave me with 2 over 5. For my next one here, 125%. Again, that's 125 over 100. I'm going to go ahead and divide these by 25. I want to think about this in terms of quarters. If I had $1, how many quarters would I have? I'd have 4. If I had $1.25, how many quarters would I have? I'd have 5. All right. The next one here is 1.9%. So I'm going to write this as 1.9 over 100. Now the problem that I have here is that I have a decimal within my fraction, and I don't want to have a decimal within my fraction. So I want you to take a look at the number that I have on top, the 1.9. If I didn't want that to have a decimal, I would only have to move my decimal one space to the right. If I moved it one space to the right, I'd end up with the number 19. But if I moved it one space to the right, then I need to imagine my decimal after the 0 in 100 and also move it one space to the right, and now that gives me 1,000. In my next problem here, I have 33 1/3%. So what I want to do with this number first is I'm going to change this to an improper fraction. I'm going to take 3 times 33. That's going to give me 99. 99, I got 99 problems. 99 plus 1 is 100 over 3. Now, I'm going to multiply it by 1 over 100 because that's the same thing as dividing by 100. Now, if you notice here, I'm multiplying fractions. We've talked about multiplying fractions before. I can go ahead and reduce by dividing both those numbers by 100. And when I multiply straight across, I end up with 1/3. Okay, the next one here is 400%. So I'm going to take 400 over 100. Divide them out, that's just going to leave me with 4. And the next one here is 275%. So 275 over 100. I'm going to go ahead and divide them both by 25. So I'm going to think about that for a minute. If I had $1, how many quarters would I have? I'd have 4. If I had $2.75 and I had those in quarters, I would have had 11 quarters. Okay, continuing here with 5.3, now we're going to write a fraction as a percent. So the way we're going to change a fraction to a percent is we're going to multiply it by 100%. So I'm going to take this here, I'm going to multiply it by 100 over 1, and I'm going to go straight across. That's going to leave me with 900 over 20, and I'm going to take my calculator and I'm just going to go ahead and divide that out. 900 divided by 20 is 45, and I'm going to add my percent sign. All right, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to multiply this by 100 over 1. That's going to give me 200 over 3. Now, when I end up with something like this, if you take your calculator, if you take 200 and you divide it by 3, you're going to notice that you're going to end up with a decimal. Okay, so since we're going to write our fraction as a percent, typically my math lab will ask you to write it as a mixed number. So remember, all I'm going to do here is take 200, I'm going to divide it by 3. 3 goes into 20 6 times, that's 18. Bring down my 2, bring down my other 0. 3 goes into 20 again 6 times, that's 18. My remainder is 2. So I would write this as 66 2/3%. For the next one that I have here, 1.5, my first step is I'm going to change that to a improper fraction. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3. 3 over 2 times 100 over 1 is going to give me 300 over 2. That's going to leave me with 150%. All right. And then for the next problem I have here, it says we're going to write 1/12 as a percent, but if you notice, it's asking me to round it now to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. 1/12 times 100 over 1 is going to give me 100 over 12. I'm going to go ahead and divide that out. So 100 divided by 12, I'm coming up with a whole lot of threes after that. Now it's asking me to round it to the nearest hundredth. Remember, the hundredth is the second number. Since this number here is less than 5, my answer will be 8.33%. Here I went ahead and divided, and I wasn't worried about getting a decimal because the directions were already telling me to round it.